Let's make a cheesecake from start to finish. So first we're going to start off with the raspberry sauce that I make. Obviously it's looking a little funky right now, but basically it's frozen raspberries, cornstarch, water, and sugar. Boil it down for a little bit and then take it off the heat. After I take it off the heat, I basically strain it. I put like the strainer on top of a bowl, and honestly, y'all, I just let it sit and chill out and drain and do its little thing. So basically just pouring it out, and then it's just gonna basically strain out. I do stir it a little bit to like help because there are a lot of seeds in there, but once you stir it a little bit and just let it sit, it pretty much just drains out. And then this is what it looks like when it's just chilling. It's still very hot at this point. Okay, next we are going to prep the white chocolate. So I'm using the white chocolate chips from Nestle and then putting that in a bowl. We're going to add a half a cup of half and half. So basically mix that together. And then I didn't show this, but I'm basically going to sit it on top of a double boiler. Actually, maybe I did show it. I lied. But basically, I'm just going to put that in there, let it sit. And then this is what it looks like. And then this is it on top of the double boiler. So it gets really hot. So it looks a little chunky at first. And then once it melts, it looks like that. Next, we're going to prep the crust for the cheesecake. So I use an Oreo cheesecake. Y'all, I don't know why. I bought like freaking 2-gallon bags, Ziploc bags. I have no idea. But you're going to need Oreos, a knife, a bowl. I personally take out the white part in the middle. You could probably keep it, but I've always taken it out. So that's what I'm going to do. And then, yeah, I used as many Oreos as I thought I needed. Basically, I bang it, smash it, use a rolling pin until they're like slightly chunky, but mostly ground up. I don't like it too fine. I still like it to be a little bit chunky. So that's why I do this method. But this is probably about like maybe a cup and a quarter, something like that. In the bottom of the bowl, there's some melted butter. And then I added 2 tablespoons of sugar, or almost 2 tablespoons. Then we're going to mix it up. Mix it up until everything gets pretty like cohesive. It should be a little bit like wet looking, but not super duper wet. But I'm basically just like taking my time, making sure all the butter gets mixed in. And then next, we're going to put it in the pan. So this is a springform pan. This is how I prep my cheesecake pan. I do use a lot of foil because I try to make sure like the water doesn't get in the pan. Sometimes it does, but basically I'm going to get 2 big sheets of foil, fold it up, and then I do 2 big sheets of foil the other way. And then basically fold it up on the sides. And then this is me basically just putting the Oreo crust in the bottom. It gets a little messy, so I use a glove for this part. I mean, my hands are always clean, but I usually use a glove for this part because I just don't like the Oreos all on my fingers. And this is what it looks like. Next, we're going to make the cheesecake batter. So I'm starting off with the cream cheese, beating it. I added in sugar, eggs, and then next I'm going to add the vanilla and then the melted white chocolate. Once it gets pretty mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and pour it over the cheesecake. So I usually pour half. I start with half of the cheesecake batter. And then here's our raspberry sauce. It's cooled down a little bit. Then what I do is take a spoon and spoon in about as much sauce that I think is necessary. So that way I can get a good swirl. I like to have some in the middle and on the top. Afterwards, I'm going to pour the second half of the batter on top of the cheesecake. And then it kind of just all gets a little bit messy, but that's fine. I just like to make sure that there's like raspberry sauce within the cheesecake, so, and not just on top. So basically pouring the rest of that cheesecake out. And then we're basically going to put the last of the sauce on top. So a couple more spoonfuls of the raspberry sauce. It's really, really good. It's like a tart, sweet flavor, and then it goes really well with the white chocolate in the cheesecake. So basically, once you spoon everything on top, I try to do a little extra. Like I try to put a good amount. This is what it looks like. And then I don't use anything fancy. I usually use the back of like a spoon or a fork. Sometimes if I have like thick like skewers, I'll use that. And then I just create little swirls. Honestly, it's low-key like art for me. So I'm just kind of swirling until I feel like it's swirled enough. So once that's finished, I have my handy dandy deep dish foil pan. It looks a little ratch, but honestly, it does me right every single time. I put the cheesecake in here, and then what I do is put it in the oven, and then once it's in the oven, I pour in some hot water about halfway up the sides of the pan. Sorry. This is the next day. I put it in the fridge overnight. I always put a layer of paper towels before the foil because sometimes the cheesecake sweats. So just to like absorb some of the moisture. And then I open up the springform pan, use a knife to basically like loosen up the sides. And then the key to what I do next, and I always have to say a little prayer right before, because this is the hardest part, I feel like, of making the cheesecake, is getting it out the pan and making sure that the crust is intact, at least for me when I make this cheesecake in particular. So basically I just like loosen up the sides, go all the way around, get as loose as possible, and then kind of crack the pan open a little bit, and luckily it came out pretty easily this time. Then I take some floss and run it through the very bottom of the cheesecake, and if I can make it through that, then I know I'm good. And then I slide the cake board right underneath. So it came out pretty good this time. Sometimes it is not this easy, but I've kind of learned that like baking it longer helps with that. And then I basically smooth out the sides with the spatula. I made some whipped cream, so I'm just doing a whipped cream around the perimeter, and then some raspberries around the inside of the whipped cream. So this is pretty much the last step. This is the finished product. Let me know what you guys think. This is definitely a bestseller, so let me know what you think.